Welcome to Game Guys. I'm your host Bricks, and today we're going to be going over the top tips to improve your Commander gameplay in Hell Let Loose. Before we get started, I'd like to give a special shout out to our friends at Team Asylum Gaming. You can check them out at discord.gg/Team Asylum. A quick disclaimer before we get started in this video, there are countless ways to play the Commander role. That being said, there's a ton of tips, and I'm sure we're going to miss one or two. So make sure when you're dropping that like and subscribe, that you let us know in the comments anything we may have missed, that we can get in a follow-up video. Now shine up your brass, and let's get right into the top tips to improve your Commander gameplay in Hell Let Loose. The first tip is more of a warning, and that is to know the responsibilities of the Commander, and have a strong or advanced knowledge of the game and how it works. With a recent update, you can't even select the Commander role unless you're at least level 10, but if I'm perfectly honest with you, level 10, you're probably not going to understand resource nodes and the other aspects of the game that you'll need to know to be successful in this role. Also, we're not going to be getting into the nitty-gritty of how basic functions work in this guide, so make sure you check out some of our other videos on the basics to get that foundation to know where you're going from there. So what is the command role, and what is it for? The primary function of the Commander in Hell Let Loose is to provide guidance, leadership, and motivation to your squad leaders and to your team. You need a strong understanding of basic and advanced tactics to provide guidance, a keen understanding of map awareness and strategy to provide leadership, and patience and a positive attitude to motivate your team to accomplish their goals. We briefly talked about maintaining map awareness, which you can learn more about in our squad leader guide, but for a Commander, this is critical. When I play Command, I typically have my map open almost 80% of the game, if not more. The reason being is that as the Commander, you're actually playing chess. You're constantly looking at what you see on the map, and using that to formulate new plans and strategies to help your team achieve victory. The Commander also needs to be confident and resilient. If you're afraid to make a decision, then this role is probably not going to be best suited for you. And when I say be resilient or have thick skin, just remember, when the game's going great, you're going to get all the praise. But if the tides turn, it's all your fault, even if you're doing an excellent job. Another one of the Commander's primary responsibilities is to keep up the momentum. Think of it like a football game. Sometimes your team is really good at offense, sometimes they're really good at defense. If your team is tearing through the enemy defenses, keep that momentum up with strategically timed airheads and other Commander abilities to help your team continue to go fast and hard. The Commander is also responsible for organizing the team's forces, planning attacks, flanks, and defensive maneuvers for the squad leaders and the team. As the Commander, you have to manage all of these tasks at the same time while trying to manage team resources so you can help the team with those powerful command abilities. And just in case anyone was wondering, no, most of the footage seen is not Commander footage because we figured you didn't want to be staring at a map for the duration of this video. The next command tip that we're going to cover is to give precise instruction. It's okay for the Commander to ask for volunteers when they need a squad on defense or attacking, or even placing nodes. But if no one steps up, make sure that you're calling out squads by their squad name. Also, it's a good idea to very early on in the map, go ahead and designate your defense and specialty squads in the event that you need them in the future. When I command, I typically start the match having at least one squad designated as defense, one squad designated as flex to go defense or offense as needed, and designate at least one squad to go ahead and drop nodes as soon as we get to a particular point. The reason that you want to call squads back by name is because it eliminates the confusion. If 10 squads here, I need a squad on defense, most squads are going to wait on that one squad to step up. After all, defense isn't always the most exciting role to be in. Quick caveat on defensive squads, by the way. If that is your designation, make sure that you're providing active defense. And what that means is that you're cloverleafing around or scouting the perimeter, because remember, if you're fighting on the point, you're losing it. Another benefit of having designated squads on defense and calling squads back by name is it can take some of the load off of you as a Commander. My first or original defensive squad that I have as Commander, I designate as the Defensive Commander. They now have an additional responsibility to call back other squads by name just as I would if they need help on defense. That way I can concentrate more on the attack while the defensive squad commander can help me out on the rear. The next two tips kind of fall hand in hand, so we'll go over them together. And that is to have patience and to adapt and overcome. Remember, you're going to have new players. We all started somewhere, so have patience with these players and know that they want to win just as bad as you do. And what I mean by adapt and overcome is to change your strategy based on the team that you have. Not all teams are created equal, and each game you enter, you may have to change your strategy based on what your team can actually perform. For example, if your team is not very good at attacking, Your strategy may be to help them get behind the enemy lines with an airhead or some other means, and once the sector's taken, to concentrate more on defenses. However, when doing this, make sure you still have at least 1 to 2 squads and possibly a recon squad that are still poking the enemy at the next point to try to keep some pressure off of those defending. Also remember, if you only have one garrison and you're trying to protect a single point, it's extremely easy for that point to get surrounded by the enemy. So when primarily on defense, designate certain squads to watch certain perimeters to keep the enemy from flanking around you. The next tip is to plan ahead and have a backup plan. For example, if you're about to take a point and you know you're going to get it, but you don't see any supply guys in the area, go ahead and drop supplies near the point, so as soon as it's taken, you can get a garrison up. And if you've already got a squad leader on the point, don't forget to call him out by name. Golf squad, as soon as the point's taken, I've got supplies inbound, get a Gary up please. The other side to the planning coin, however, is realizing that you may not be the only one attacking. If you send 100% of your force to take a single point, you risk losing the points you have already. This is again why it's so important to designate certain squads to perform certain functions. In many games where this hasn't been done, you'll see what I call the accordion effect, where everyone kind of runs in a line to attack and then falls back all together to defend because no one has been designated with a specific role to attack or defend. And also, plan diversions into your strategy. For instance, if you're going to drop an airhead to the northeast of a point, have a squad go to the southeast with an MG and start laying down fire just to suppress the enemy and keep them occupied and think you're attacking from a different location. Also, when calling in supplies or an airhead or a bombing run, try to call in multiple assets so that the sounds of the planes overlap each other and makes it harder for the enemy to know exactly what's coming in. And don't forget, since the commander is oftentimes looking at his map and watching what's going on more than he is actively attacking, use that map study time to move from place to place and put fallback garrisons. This way, if something does happen, your team can strategically spawn to defend the next point back or to get back on the point they were just on. Keep in mind though, while garrisons are extremely important, with Update 8 you are limited to 8 garrisons per team at any one time, but you as the commander can remove any garrisons on the map, so don't be afraid to redeploy to one of those garrisons and take it down so that you can get garrisons further up on the offensive if needed. You can also use this time to study your map for potential weak spots in your defenses, as well as potential attacking and flanking opportunities. And while we're back on the topic of map awareness, make sure you're marking any points of interest that you see or that your recon squads and your squad leaders point out. Anyone on the team can see a mark put down by the commander. So help your squad leaders out, and if they mark a tank, overlap that tank mark with your own so that all the other squad leads can see it, as well as all the other members of the squad leader's team. Another map marking tip for the commander is to give squad leaders a heads up, obviously anytime you're dropping bombing runs and the like, but specifically during recon runs. There's still many squad leaders out there who don't realize that their squads can't see the recon on the map whenever it goes over, so give a quick reminder to your squad leads anytime you see these to mark it for their squads. And while the recon information is up, it's a really good opportunity for the commander to drop artillery marks if you happen to have artillery players on your team. The HE rounds are not only devastating, but the commander can also drop what type of artillery such as HE or smoke, and the smoke can also be used to help you push another point. So again, as the commander, make sure you're not just studying the map, but that you're sharing map information with everyone else so that everyone can be successful. Our last few commander tips fall under pretty much the same category, which is basically know your commander abilities and their resource cost. As a commander, you need to watch your resources very closely. Sometimes it's possible to get a last-minute reinforce to give you double cap power on a point you're defending, or to get that airhead to keep that momentum going. So understanding your resources, understanding how to convert resources, and when to do that is critical to the commander's and the team's success. I've even had matches where we were really close at the end, we had almost taken the point, so at about the 15-second mark in the game, I converted all of my resources I could to manpower, allowing us to win in overtime. So remember, while most of the commander abilities are pretty self-explanatory, you have to know what to use and when to use it. Another example of that is to vary your vehicle spawns. You should also encourage your team to use certain vehicles to achieve certain goals. Spawning a heavy tank at every single HQ spawn is not always the best idea because heavy tanks, for instance, are used more for defensive purposes, whereas your medium tanks don't have quite the armor, but they're faster and can get around the enemy easier. The same thing with light tanks, which can be extremely useful versus infantry, and your recon vehicles. I've seen recon vehicles flank around an entire map and take a Tiger out in 2 shots. I've also seen a Jumbo 75 help take a point not with their HE, but with their smoke rounds. And spawning a troop transport and a supply truck at the HQ, if you were to fall back and didn't have any garrisons, can help your team get back in the fight faster instead of having to lose a point while trying to run there. So again, learn your commander abilities, manage your resources, and make sure that your nodes are producing the most for you as they possibly can. You can get up to 12 nodes per team now, and not utilizing this is like throwing away free money. The last commander tip that we're going to cover in this video is to listen to your squad leads. We mentioned all through this video that you as the commander are playing chess. You're looking at the map and you're trying to figure out where the pieces need to go to win. However, your squad leads are in the fight and they know what's going on, they know the terrain around them, and they can really help you in making decisions. Get their advice on things such as where to drop supplies. Typically, if I'm asked to drop supplies by a squad lead, I'll ask them to put a mark on the map because they can tell me where the terrain is best suited for them to put up a garrison. That way, you're not dropping it on top of an enemy tank. Your squad leads are your eyes and ears out there, so make sure you're using them to that capacity. Thank you for checking out our Commander Guide video. I hope you liked it, hope you learned something new, and if you did, hit that like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments something we may have missed or something that you want to add. So until next time, happy commanding, and we'll see you in game.